her last step fell on an emerging creature, and as it grabbed out with spiny claws, she did the one thing her instinct shouldn't have forced her to do. She jumped from the wall. The fall never came, as the creature caught her foot and with amazing strength and agility carried her upside down across the wall at a sickening speed. After a minute, they stopped, standing upright in the crater she had been moving towards.
Where are we going? Can you understand me? What are you?
Of course I can understand you. I'm earning my nest space from living on Earth, and why? To learn about your planet. I don't see why I was even needed. None of us were allowed to know who you were, or we'd be disrupting the experiment. We just had to build a load of stuff to give to your mother. After the Trial 15, she just broke off. Do you even realize what it's like working on something for 5 years without being able to deliver it? When the others asked me to check out their suspicions and I learned who you were, I was so close to telling them straight away.
Why didn't you then? Why did you and Mum and Dominica try and protect me?
Because some of us don't like having stuff like that on our conscience. Do you know how they're going to kill you, Sophie?
No. How?
Well, sorry, but you're going to find out now. I can't help you now. There's only so much I can do before they suspect me and kill me too.
As the creature that had been Malcolm turned to lead her away, Sophie stayed firmly rooted to the rock floor of the tunnel.
You are not stopping me now. I'm not a child anymore. I do not fear what I don't understand, and I am not letting you give in to fear. Keep off me and do as I say.
What?
Here's what I want you to do.
Attach the leads to the device. Let the computer assimilate the data.
Yes, Aphrodite.
Retrieving now.
As Sophie overlooked from her vantage point within a small crevice in the coral wall, adjoining the main tunnel network, she saw Malcolm entering the room. He had not revealed his earlier discovery to them, just as they had no idea he had ever found the subject when on Earth.
Is there anything I can do?
Yes. Watch the component. Ensure it does not overheat.
It's all working out. He'll be able to stop it now.
Unseen by the others, Malcolm began to inspect the component for a way to sabotage it. Finding a wire, he began to surreptitiously roll it between the jaws of a pincer. Soon it would cut through, and the Earth would no longer be under threat from them. Why was Malcolm so hesitant? Perhaps he realized what Sophie had overlooked. He knew he would die when this happened. All Sophie had thought about was interrupting the flow of data, then destroying the piece. Malcolm visibly tensed, stopping the movement of the pincer in mid-flow. His fear was overcoming him. Was his cause really that important? Perhaps he was just being a fool, feeling sympathy for something little more than an animal. Yet he knew the arrogance of his race was catalyzed by the fact that they had not been around as long as most other races, including humanity. Malcolm had been taught by the elders of his kind about those who fell from the sky with the burning lights that made their rivers into fire, about the machine that taught them what they knew, and the craft that gave them equipment they had never seen before. Malcolm was aware that his species were being tested in the same way that his species were testing humanity, following by example, and wondered whether the rest of his kind were aware of it too.
Petrov, what's the progress report? 59% downloaded, Aphrodite. That's fast. I was expecting it to take considerably longer.
Oh, you're telling me? Get on with it, Malcolm.
Strongar, I need your help.
With what?
I need your help holding the wire in place. The connection is weak.
Of course. Is this high enough?
I need it held lower.
Malcolm placed a pincer over Trongar's and lowered the wire. As he did so, He pressed just hard enough to cut through the wire. Trongar went completely still. He had been made responsible for Malcolm's sabotage, and he knew it. He just didn't know why Malcolm would want to do it.
The wire is broken. The component's data is being replayed without the computer recording it.
No! Stop the device replay! Oh, I can't! Trongar, you will die for this.
It was Tlojaris. He pressed my bloody claw together.
I was trying to move your hand. You resisted, so I used force.
The room began to illuminate. The amber-like liquid was moving through the tunnels and craters like a volcanic eruption. Sophie was forced out of hiding by the searing heat. The creature that had been Mrs. Milford hardly noticed her, however, looking in horror at the liquid river that seemed to stare from every pore like fierce yellow eyes. It wasn't just a river of fire, it was a living creature.
What is the meaning of this?
Your powerfulness. One of us has failed you. Take his life from us as punishment.
No, I didn't do it.
I'm so sorry, Trongar.
He should die. He made me do it. The coward is trying to make me responsible.
Is this true, creature?
Yes. You shouldn't take his life. I did it. I am not willing to let that planet be taken by you because you don't deserve it.
What was that, creature? Are you going to stop me?
I have already. You can't starve the resources of that world without understanding the inhabitants. I've stopped you learning about them so you can't steal their loyalty like you did to us.
Your race wanted knowledge and the power to invade other worlds. I gave that to you in return for the ocean, did I not?
And you took away our only way of surviving. All our nests are in you. All our resources have been replaced with you. And if you leave for Earth, then we have no choice but to follow.
That is how I live. I have always existed in that way, and I will until the end of time. Volker has fed me for 5,000 years, while you have in that time grown strong. The Earth will serve me for much longer. Do you still defy me?
Yes.
Then I will crush you.
The creature entered the room, enveloping the four creatures. Although the heat was not an issue for their armoured bodies, the weight as the room began to fill was so focused that their bodies cracked open and the creatures inside were cooked instantly. Sophie was climbing the coral wall as quickly as possible, the approaching level of amber working as a terrifying incentive.
Climb, Soph.
What's that? I sense another one. Are you there, creature?
Don't answer it. Just climb.
I know you are here. I can sense that you are not like those creatures. What are you, creature?
Nearly there.
Are you an earth creature? Yes, you must be. Come here. I won't burn you. Watch.
Sophie turned to see it retreat into the walls. The craters above her filled with the substance before those below, forcing her to climb down. Soon, Sophie was stood in the middle of the cavern like a rabbit caught in 1,000 headlights.
Now I sense you better. What do you call yourself?
Sophie Dorset.
Every name sounds just the same. On Volca, the unnamed species relied on individual titles. But it will be easier to remember you, Sophie Dorset. One Sophie Dorset.
I want to go home.
You can, if you tell me about the other Earth creatures. Tell me, Sophie Dorset. What do all Earth creatures want?
I don't know. How am I supposed to know that?
You should know. You live on that planet.
Yes, but I haven't lived a normal life. You should know if you arrange the test.
You are the experiment, Sophie Dorset.
Yes. Are you Amy Hunt?
They called me that, yes.
You sound male.
I don't understand. I am, and always have been. There is no reproduction. The Volca creatures named me after the second coordinator's Earth name, before the schism.
Schism?
The Volca creature in charge, he began to question the experiment. They fought each other. The first leader was overthrown and was replaced by a female leader who would continue it without losing faith in their cause. Only the Volca Creatures Council were told.
What happened to her?
The schism. One by one, the Volca creatures began to follow their first leader's example. Not all agreed with the cause, and any who were caught were fed to me. She was killed by a Volca creature who she had bought from another. He took her neck and broke it. Then he threw her to me. Amy Hunt was burned alive before the broken neck could kill her.
Sold? That must have been my father.
I took him next, and his voice, because I preferred it to my own. You still have not helped me, Sophie Dorset. I need your world next, or I will die.
I'm sorry, but I know what that feels like, thanks to you. You're just a big parasite. You make millions of lives dependent on you in order to survive.
I gave them what they wanted.
No, you played on their weaknesses, like you want to do with my own planet.
Sophie turned to leave. She showed no weakness, not even slowing before entering the tunnel. The amber creature flinched aside to prevent killing her. It did not know the fear pumping through Sophie's veins. It thought she must have been fearless. Look at her. She was Superwoman, solid steel from the heart outwards. She made it all the way back to the matter transmitter without being stopped. For the first time in her life of lies, and in the most extraordinary circumstances, she was fully in control of something.
Goodbye, whatever you are.
Back by 2:30. And she was. The news of Mrs. Milford and the others must have spread already, as half the staff in the university and the college resigned soon after that. Malcolm had left for Austria with his parents, and Sophie missed him more than anyone. Only one Volca inhabitant stayed behind, and that was Ethella Dorset. She had nothing left there, and the guilt of what had happened made it impossible for her to leave Sophie. And although it was a strange relationship the two had, Sophie loved her more than anyone else in the world. All suspicions were lowered, and she met a boy very much like Malcolm, and indeed Travis before he shorted out, who she adored. The disguise her mother wore meant that she never grew older in appearance. Soon she was a grandmother to Sophie's children, and then over time became their aunt, and eventually their sister. All in all, life treated them well. No. It was when Sophie remembered the messages from the supposedly dead Amy Hunt, and that only 2 of the 3 components had been found, that Sophie had cause for concern again. That second year was when things got really interesting.